Right, so today we are here with a good friend of mine. I've known him for how long? 15 years. Yeah, a long old time. We're here with Andrew. So again, you're listening to the Proper Chaps, Proper Chat podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ash. Lewis isn't here today because he's been poorly. He hasn't got the Rona, but he's just not feeling very well. So I've driven to, where are we? Rochester, near Gillingham.
Rochester in Kent, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a drive, pissing down with rain, but I thought it'd be quite interesting speaking to you purely because of your life in the army, initiations. So we'll try and keep it fun, light, not say anything that's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Motorbike, accidents, pretty much anything you want to talk about. It's pub talk at the end of the day. No snacks, but I do have a bottle of water. Normally we have proper pub snacks, because what we originally wanted was pod at the pub.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, we've been together, we've been in pubs or drives or wherever, and we've been cracking up laughing.
Oh, yeah.
And we wanted that atmosphere, but then we did one in WTs, actually, not so long ago. And these microphones, they pick up everything. So you could hear fucking cars on the street, and you can hear people hitting pool balls, and it's like the audio quality on the last, this is the 11th one. The last 11 hasn't been great, but we are looking to remedy that. We're just about to push the button on a studio that I told you about. So we're having a big summer house put in the garden, and we're soundproofing it and putting a table in there, full audio setup, new microphones, new mixers, headphones, the lot. It's going to be fucking lovely. Yeah, it is. We just picked up our first sponsor, so we'll tell you a little bit more about that over the next coming episodes once all the paperwork's finalised and bits and pieces. And we're actually speaking to another sponsor on Friday.
Nice.
So that's what's going to pay for our equipment, and then we're paying for the summer house. It's 16 foot by 10 foot, so like nearly 5 metres by 3 metres. It's fucking massive. So it's not just going to be a studio, we're going to use it as like an extension of the home, so we'll have board games and shit in there, which would be quite fun. Books, put a telly in there and stuff, because the equipment that we want, we can actually pull up clips off YouTube and stuff and play segments of that and fade it all in and fade it out and put some adverts in. Yeah, well, it's I hate listening back to them and the audio shit. Yeah. Because it just winds me up. And I know it's not what people want to listen to. So I figured if we can get out and get some sponsors that have enjoyed talking to us and being on, because they have both been on, it would be a big boost for them when their adverts and information's portrayed, but also for the listeners, that they're actually getting decent audio quality. Like, I listened to the one from last week on the way up here, and it's like, there's a lot of banging, and because of the microphones, they're so sensitive, you can pick up every move, every wiggle. It's like you tap the table and you can hear it. So we're trying to eradicate all of that, which is quite nice. So tell us a little bit about yourself, let the listeners know who you are.
Well, as Ash said, I'm Andrew. I've been in the army, coming on 11 years now.
Which is out of school?
Yeah.
Straight out of school?
Well, I did a year at CRC, didn't I, with you and Will, doing plumbing, and then I joined the Royal Engineers at just on 17. So, yeah, it'll be September, will be my 11 year.
What funny stories have you got? What do you want to share that's going to make people laugh?
Obviously, like you.
Or be absolutely disgusting, because I know there's a lot of stories.
I know you
that
said
are
about
disgusting.
the engineering thing. There is, or was, it's not very commonplace if happens at all anymore, but there was the drinking initiations where a lot of things could happen, like flaming arseholes, downing dirty pints,
mate,
drinking beer out of a pig's head.
You drank beer out of a pig?
I didn't.
No, but someone's drunk
happen,
beer out of a pig's head. Or they just go down to a fucking butcher and be like, I'll just take the head, please. The butcher, what are you using it for? I'm like, well, we're just going to take some drinks out of it.
I imagine they didn't tell them the legit reason.
No,
but
no swine flu. Massive swine flu outbreak in the army.
But, nah, I mean, there's plenty of weird and wonderful things that happen. I mean, I'll be going away to Weymouth soon, which the engineers popularly like to call Waybeatha, because it is just a massive drink session. Last year we drank the Audi over the road out of booze.
What, Aldi's in the supermarket?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
In 2 weeks we drank them out of booze.
See, that's one thing. I've never experienced the army, never been in the army. I didn't go to university, but they're the things that I would miss. Like the friendships that you build up at university or in the army will last for life.
Yeah.
And the amount of drinking that goes on.
There is a big drinking
mental.
culture in both of them, university, and that's the only thing that appealed to me about university, because I'm not exactly the most academic bloke in the world. So
Nor am I.
and I didn't really fancy the debt either. So the drinking culture and the friendships was really the only thing that would have swayed me. But
That's why I went, like some of my cousins' friends went to university and stuff, so I got to go up and see them and go out drinking with them. So that was one of the big things for me, was like, fuck, I wish I'd done this. But then again, my life's turned out alright, other than being unemployed, still looking for work.
mate, you'll sort something out, you always do. I mean, you did very well with your car salesmanship, so if you get back into that, your money will be back on point in no time.
Yeah, hopefully. That's what I need, something to pay the bills.
I mean, Beamer, if it weren't for this blooming recession crap coming out of COVID, you'd still be there.
I'd be working now. So what's like the funniest story you have when it comes to the army?
With the army, I suppose one of them would probably have to be when I come back from a beer run for one of the squadron dues. They decided to 15 of them decided to get naked and throw ice at each other. That was pretty hilarious to come back and watch.
I'm sure those things happen in the Navy, but in the army...
Oh, more so in the Navy, from what I hear.
15 guys just getting naked and chucking ice at each other.
I mean, there was no sexual activity, I just think they thought it was hilarious, which, to be fair, it was.
Yeah, fuck it, I bet it was. Just coming back.
I mean, I didn't really know how to react apart from giggling my tits off, but...
So you've never been on tour, but you've been to a couple of places. What's your sort of favourite places you've ever been?
Canada was probably is the best I've ever been. We did 3 months out there just repairing sort of like the training area, and the people are what really made it, like the Canadians themselves. What
were you repairing, sorry?
The training area, so they were sort of like setting up like mock villages for like the infantry and like other people to sort of like train with, attack, blah blah blah, and basically after they've gone in and shot it up, we need to fix it up.
Why would their own army not do that? Or are they not sort of on point with what the British army can do?
We pretty much own that training area.
Ah, right.
Well, not so much own it, but we use it a lot. Like, what's it called? BATA, so British Armed Forces Training Area, Suffolk, I think it was. Because they do have a few names out there that twin, same as America do. I mean, there's a Manchester in America. Like,
there's loads of places in America. There's like Peterborough. Why would you choose Peterborough?
I have no idea. It's not the nicest place.
But you did Jordan as well. I bet that was fucking stinking hot.
Oh yeah, well, you're ranging from sort of mid-30s to sort of early 40s on the daily.
Fuck that. We had it like 32, 33 the other day, and I was sweating my bollocks off. I couldn't handle it.
It was a different kind of heat though. Over here it's really humid, whereas the heat over there is dry.
Right.
So it's a little bit easier to bear with, but then at the same time it's still uncomfortable. I mean, I had when we didn't have the aircon working in the accommodation tents, it was actually cooler in a tent with no sort of like aircon. Well, like a smaller green sort of like crappier tent. Because I remember not long after we got to that area, I was literally laying on the floor in my underpants starfish, still sweating.
Really? Oh, yeah, I can't handle the heat.
And the brightness from the sun is a whole nother level as well out there. Like, you'd walk from outside into the tent where it's a bit darker and you'd go blind for about 5 seconds, 10 seconds, because of the brightness difference.
But Jordan's quite big for its sort of tourism as well, because you've got what's that, like there's a temple or something that's carved into the side, weren't they, in Indiana Jones or something?
In the second to last Indiana Jones, they did the Last Crusade, so the third of the original trilogy. The temple at the end is in the city of Petra, Jordan, and we went on a visit there on our downtime, and we got to see that.
Well, that was fucking quality.
Oh, it was a sight to see. But then Petra is, I think it's down on one of the 7 wonders of the world. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
I'd have to
But
double check.
And then there was another famous sort of spot from a film there, Transformers 2.
Yes, yeah, Rise of the Fallen.
Yeah, you know where the two twin robots are fighting in that temple, and they smash through the wall. Yeah, we were in that little area.
Oh, that's sick.
And
That's
that
one
was pretty
thing
cool.
that must be good about the army. The fact that you can do quite a lot of travelling.
Yeah, there is a lot to be had. I mean, I was due to go to the Ukraine before I lost my toe for a period.
We'll get into that. Well, you didn't lose it for a period. You lost it for the rest of your life.
I mean, I was supposed to go to the Ukraine for a period of time. I think we were only going for a couple of weeks, but yeah, I was due to go on that trip, but that obviously got changed due to injury.
If you had to go back, if you could go back in time, do you think you would join the army again, or do you think it's something you would?
I think I probably would. I'm not sure if I'd hang around for so long, and I'd try and push a few of the courses, like the driving courses I'm trying to do now. I think the only thing I'd probably change is my trade.
Yeah.
I don't use my trade.
Because you went in as a plumber, so you trained at CRC for a year.
Yep.
And then went on from there.
Yeah. And I pretty much redid the same course I did at CRC on my 3rd phase of training in the engineers.
Do you think you're going to stay in full term, or do you think it's something that you'd get out of?
I'm looking to stay in for about another 2 to 3 till I'm debt free.
Yeah.
Because it is a decent paying wage and some debt free.
You're constantly getting paid.
Yeah.
Because you're off now. How long are you off for now?
Currently on summer leave for 3 weeks. I've got about just under 2 left, I think.
Yeah, bargain. And you're fully paid for all of it, year round.
So when I got injured, like you said, we'll get on to. I mean, I got paid for that entire 3 weeks off sick, full. Like, the army is good for that. I will give them that.
Do they beast you? Because you see in all these fucking films, especially like, I don't know about them American.
In training, they do tend to work you a lot harder than they will when you get to your regiment, but that is purely to sort of like test your character, test that you can do your job under pressure, and that you've like you say, you're persistent enough to crack on through the hard times.
So there's an audio book that you should probably download, that I downloaded, I've been listening to. It's David Goggins. Have you ever heard of David Goggins? So this guy, he was fucked up by his dad, like properly fucked up, like beaten, and it was all psychological, and he sort of carried that on for his life, and him and his mum and his brother managed to escape, and he put on a lot of weight, and he was like, I need to do something that's going to turn my life around, that's going to actually make me enjoy it a little bit more. So he decided that he was going to go for Navy SEAL training, and he lost 103 pounds of weight and beasted, and he's one of the only people that's gone through like the Ranger training, Navy SEAL training, which is like Hell Week. I don't know if you get that here with
they probably
SAS
have something
or something
similar.
Essentially just 130 hours of beasting, like very little sleep.
That probably is more that length of time. That probably is more to do with the special forces. I don't think they'd push us for that long in the regular forces.
But you should listen to that, because that's fucking mental. His experiences and what he's gone through, and his like the mindset that you build up and the discipline you build up in the army must be massive.
Yeah, like I mean, you are trained to do as you're told, but you're also taught to sort of think at the same time, think on your feet, think for yourselves. Like when you're sort of taught law about lawful orders and sort of law of armed conflict, you are taught if you think that order is unlawful or against human rights or whatever, you are within your right to question it.
So you've enjoyed your time?
On the whole, yeah. There have been some proper crappy times. I mean, when you're sleeping under a plastic sheet in the middle of the rain in a forest, it's not the greatest.
My brother does that for fun.
Your brother's strange then, I get paid for it.
He's he loves the outdoors, he loves fishing, he loves shooting. Well, you know my brother, you've known him for a long time, but he's doing now where he'll just fuck off. He'll get a couple of bottles of wine, some steaks, and he'll pack up his dog, and he'll pack up like a hammock with a fucking sheet over the top, and him and his mate will just go to like Thetford or wherever the closest forest is, walk a mile into it, pitch up a fucking hammock, put his sheet over it, cook his steak, drink some bottles of wine.
I mean, I can see the enjoyment in it, but I mean, I wouldn't want to be out there for too long, because it does get a bit crappy when you're sort of doing like a lot of running around throughout the day, and then you're sleeping under that at night with a tree root in your back.
I couldn't do it. Just the physical aspect of it, I think, would not really the mental, but the physical aspect for me would be like.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did I think earlier this year section comps in Dartmoor,
Right.
Yeah, and we were carrying up to about 30 kilos for 2 days. Probably ended up walking about 30 miles over those 2 days, and the terrain was hard.
Yeah.
Like we were, even as trained soldiers, we were stopping every half hour, 20 minutes just to get the weight off of our backs, because it was getting painful to some degrees.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
And then the next day, after a night in a proper bed, we went and done a 9-mile march and shoot.
What's the most fun in the army? Because obviously you've done your shit stuff, you've done your initiations, and you're drinking dirty pints.
I'd say the adventurous training is one of the more fun things that the army does. Like when you go out rock climbing and parachuting. I mean, I haven't done parachuting myself. I've tried a couple of times, but I don't like to spend it out on the money. I like getting it for free. And
they charge you for it then? Take it out your wages?
They can't. They don't take it from your wages. They will ask you to pay a contribution. Like, you won't pay the full price. Like, I know lads that went to America to do parachuting for a couple of weeks. I think they paid 800 out of their own money.
That's still not bad, is it?
No,
2 weeks in America.
You'd pay at least $2.5 grand in normal sort of like holiday sort of city.
Still get your daytime, your like downtime, don't you?
Oh yeah, like on adventurous training, you are in civilian clothing, just doing the sport or adventure or whatever adventurous training it is you do. Because I mean, the ones I've done, mountain biking in Wales, hill walking, it's not the funnest, but the scenery is nice when the weather's great.
I've never been mountain biking. We used to do a lot of BMXing as a kid, which
we did.
We'll touch on maybe a little bit later, because I want to talk to you about the new Tony Hawks. But I've always wanted to do downhill mountain biking.
It is fun. You have to ride your brakes a few times.
Yeah, you can get properly fucked up doing it.
Oh yeah. Break a leg, mate, and if not worse, or get a tree root in your leg if you're really unlucky.
I went whitewater rafting. Me and the family went to Wales for a week and a bit, 10 days. And one of the things that we wanted to do was whitewater rafting, and I'd never done it before, so
I have to be fair.
Nice fucking quality. Although I nearly died doing it, it was fucking brutal.
I mean, I've done canoeing.
We were going down this river. And we were paddling. We'd just gone down like this drop, carry on round, and there's like a corner. Yeah. And I'm on the right hand side of the raft at the front. Yeah. And we're going and we're trying to steer away from the edge, because there's loads of trees, there's loads of bushes and all this sort of shit. So I'm like, right, let's try and get away from the edge. Instructor's with us. There's me, my brother, my brother's friend, and my dad, and the instructor. And as we're going round, I can just see it in like slow motion. We're going towards the edge. There's a fucking great big tree there. Yeah. And there's a fucking branch stuck out further. And this thing must have been 2 inches in diameter. And we were going towards it. Yeah. And it just went slow-mo. I was like, I'm going to fucking hit that. And it hit my stomach. And where I'd moved out the way, it ripped straight through my wetsuit. I'm like, the speed we were going for
inside,
that, wetsuits are pretty fucking thick. Oh yeah. I was like, we went up, as we went past it, I sort of literally just shifted my body just enough where it went in my wetsuit, just like hit my stomach, but ripped out. Yeah. So it tore like a fucking 9-inch rip in my wetsuit straight across my belly. I was like, if I hadn't have noticed that, if I was looking the other way, that would have gone straight through me.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. And I'll still do it again because it was quality. Such a good experience. And for you to be able to do that sort of stuff, mountain biking and with the army, must be quality.
Oh yeah, and the thrill seekers out there. I remember one time we went down Cornwall way, I believe. We did rock climbing. That was fun. I think we were pretty much on the seafront for that.
For the thing, I can't get. Oh, I probably could if I put the effort in. But rock climbing for me, because of my weight, I can't lift myself up properly. So if I haven't got a decent like perch on my foot, it's fucking tough getting up.
I mean, the best rock climbers and the ones that sort of do, or the ones that do better at it, I find are the ones that don't just scurry up.
That take their
they
time.
actually take their time and think, right, is that going to take my weight? Is that foot going to take my weight? Right, have I got enough surface to actually put some weight on there and then push on up?
Have you seen them fucking nutcases that climb these cliffs with no ropes?
I have indeed.
Like they're fucking, they dig their hands or their feet in like the minusculest cracks, like where it's just their fingertips in, and they're climbing up these fucking mountains and literally like vertical cliffs with no fucking ropes. I'd shit myself and I'd probably die.
Yeah, I think the majority of people would. Like, those people have got to have been climbing for years, because I mean, I have I think on some climbing sort of like centres where I've been before, like the indoor ones, they have got them little sort of grip hold practice places, like sort of setups, and the pincer ones with your fingers, they're nails. I mean, I'm no strong man, but I'm no weakling, and I can't hold it. I can't get that amount of, or that little grip and hold myself.
My dad was telling me about this documentary on Netflix, and I still haven't watched it, and I really should. It's about a rock climber that does it with his fingertips and like no fucking ropes, but he climbed this thing on the edge of the UK coast.
Yeah.
Only so many people have done it. It's fucking well dangerous.
Yeah.
He's blind.
Okay.
So what he does, he goes up with a trainer first that can see, and he knows exactly, learns exactly where he's got to put his hands, and it's like going up a fucking brick wall where your fingers are just in your cement cracks where the mortar is.
Jesus.
And he'll learn it, and then he'll do it himself on his own with no ropes or nothing.
That's
and he just
steady.
climbs up it. I'm like, this guy's fucking blind. If he misses it by an inch, he could be dead.
Yeah, 100% he could.
I mean, fucking mental.
I think the most nerve-wracking one for me though was probably that same trip we went, what's called coasteering, where you just sort of go swim out, sort of to see a little bit on the sort of like coastline, go climb up rocks, jump off them, so on and so forth. Maybe do a bit of caving. The reason that was sort of like nerve-wracking for me is I'm not the best swimmer, and when there's 4-foot waves coming towards you, when you haven't even got in the sea yet.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they had this thing called the washing machine. It's where they had this big ass rock, and the waves would always come over this big ass rock, and it would create a sort of water cyclone in amongst it underneath.
I bet people have drowned in places like that because it's the current that will fuck you up the most. Either that or hitting a rock when you're fucking going down. One thing I have always wanted to try that I haven't, that you probably have, like you said, caving, like going in and searching around all these caves and shit. That would be amazing.
Caving is fun. It is. It's quite common to see people getting claustrophobic and that. Like a lot of these sort of famous sort of caves where they do the caving, they tend to have like a tight spot that they like to take people through, which it ain't impossible to get through, but it's really tight, and they usually call them like the cheese press. Like, the amount of people that sort of like flap and sort of like panic in those things is quite common.
So I saw this thing, that's it, Son Doon Cave in Vietnam. Let me just do that. Son Doon Cave. This is the biggest cave, and people will have to check this out on Google. Just go to Google Images about how big this fucking cave is. Yeah. When the old internet works. Look at the size of this. You can literally fit a cathedral in it.
Oh Jesus!
And when this loads, they're tents. So this cave is that big. The tents look
like ants.
fucking tiny. Oh, my phone's gone and fucked up now, isn't it? But
yeah, that looks insane.
like,
I'd
you
love to
imagine
explore somewhere like that.
Going, what? There must be. Well, there is thousands and thousands and thousands of caves that people have probably never been in.
Oh yeah.
Like, what are you going to find? And this place, the only reason I found out about it was listening to Joe Rogan, and the guy that took these pictures was saying they're discovering species that have never been discovered before.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
In these caves, like the fucking animals and birds and wildlife and stuff that you'd find in these places would be unbelievable.
Yeah. Because I mean, it is quite a fairly common knowledge. We know more about space than we do on our own planet and our seas.
Yeah.
But there's probably still thousands of species out there in the sea that we don't even know about because we haven't developed the technology to explore it.
So there was a really terrible film that came out year before last, called The Meg, and I don't know if you've seen it yet.
No.
It's worth a watch if you haven't. It's it's based on a book by a chap called Steve Alton, and he's fantastic the way he writes. It's essentially, he takes fact and mixes it with science fiction. So some of the stuff that you're hearing is 100% proved fact, but the way it's all tied together just brings out really, really good science fiction. So it's about these people that are trying to discover species and stuff in the Marianas Trench and to scan it. And they go down and they find that there's an evolution of the megalodon shark there that's like 75 foot long. They get, one of their ships gets attacked, and these like sensor things get attacked, and as they're coming up through this like it's like a cold way, like a cold section of the sea. So underneath this section's really warm. It's heated by volcanic ash and superheated water. So there's species down there that have been able to get trapped down there. So that's the story of the megalodon. Gets trapped down there, and one of them follows them up as their submarine's going up, that then starts reaping havoc and like eating people and stuff. And this fish is fucking massive, and I think there's 9 books now.
Oh, bless you.
And it's all about these people that capture one, and they put it in what would have been a whale breeding enclosure, and they people pay to come and see them feed it and stuff, and it goes on. And even that, like, how do you know that these species that could have been extinct for millions of years aren't living somewhere? There's a place in the Congo, and I don't know if you've ever researched anything about the Congo, but the place is fucking brutal.
Oh, really?
Like brutal.
It's Africa way, I know that much.
It's one of the only places on the earth that wasn't affected by the asteroids that hit the dinosaurs, and there's a local legend there, and loads of people from National Geographic and even Vice, you probably see some of Vice's videos online, have been there to look for a dinosaur that they think has been trapped there for millions of years and has evolved. It's called, if I can say this correctly, Mokele Mbembe.
Mokele Mbembe, I'm going to say.
It's essentially a river basin mythology about this dinosaur that's lived there for millions of years that people still see. And these people, you speak to them and they're like, yeah, it's there. If you want to go, this is the place where you need to go and see it. It's like, how the fuck do you not know if it's actually there or it's not?
I mean, I'd like to say that it'd be quite widely televised if it was legit. I mean, that'd be a huge news story.
You'd think so, but this place is so remote and so dense, and like you have to cross swampland, and there's like these fucking parasites that mess you up, and leeches, and it's like so dense. But there's like real shitty B movies about it. There's a picture of a footprint actually on it. Look. That thing's fucking massive.
Nessie's supposed to be like the Loch Ness Monster's supposed to be from that sort of time era.
Again, it's like underwater caves and stuff around Loch Ness. How the fuck do you know that there hasn't been something living out under there? Or
it's a big ass stretch of water. It could quite easily hide.
The thing is, with places like the Congo, everything's fucking bigger. There's so much vegetation there. Everything just grows and grows and grows, and there's not much human interaction.
Yeah.
There's no one there like cutting shit down or fucking big cities being put up.
So it's quite possible that there are species there that probably have been sat for hundreds, maybe thousands of years, just being.
Yeah,
just living and evolving. And
there's this guy. It was recently again. A lot of I love Joe Rogan. I love listening to it. It's one of the reasons that I wanted to start doing a podcast.
Yeah.
There's a guy that he had on there. He's an artist, an explorer called David Cho. And I don't know, I probably told you. Do you remember I said about the guy that done a mural in Facebook's office?
No.
So it turns out this guy is actually the guy that done it. So
Yeah.
he was an artist. He's a bit messed up. I'd love to speak to him one day. Like a lot of mental issues, not mental issues, but like he's very
eccentric.
Yeah, that's a good word. And he was in Libya or Syria, one of them shitty third world countries, and he was in a hostel, and he read a National Geographic about this dinosaur and decided, fuck it, I'm gonna just go and do it. And he got lost in the jungle with some crazy German dude that was eating all the rations, and he goes back there and speaks with the pygmies and lives with them, goes baboon hunting with them as well, up with these hunting dogs and shit. And he's read about this dinosaur. He's like, fuck it, I'm gonna. It turns out, microphone's dropping a little bit there. Turns out this guy did the mural on Facebook, and he's a bit of a gambler anyway, but they turned around to him and said, look, we'll give you 60 grand to do this mural, or we'll give you 60 grand's worth of Facebook stock.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck it, I'll take the Facebook stock. No harm, mate. It's worth 200 million now.
Yeah. Jesus
So he took
Christ.
it and he gambled on it, and it's worth 200 million, which is fucking mental.
Yeah. Jesus. No, that's a profit and a half.
That is, isn't it? Anyway, going back to it, your 9 toes.
Yes.
You want to tell the story about your old 9 toes? Andrew had to have a toe amputated.
Well, to be fair, the barrier did half the job, but no, I was riding my motorbike one day. Well, technically I was driving my car, and we'd not long just been to Essex and back to pick up my motorbike to lend to my friend for a little while whilst he sorted his bike out. And we were riding up and down this road, and I decided I wanted to have a go, and I had my motorbike gear in my boot of my car, and I put it on, and then we were told that we were going to be leaving, so I took it back off, and then that plan got changed again, so we were staying. So I was just like, oh, okay, screw it, I'll just put my friend's helmet, gloves and jacket on, and I'll go for a ride, have a bit of fun on my bike. Neglected to put my motorbike boots on, so I'm riding about, and I come around this corner, and my rear wheel started sort of like fishtailing, skipping about.
I bet you shit yourself at that
Oh,
point.
a little bit, yeah. And I focused more on stopping than steering, and they had a barrier similar to what you'd have on a motorway on the outside of the corner, because there's a bit of a drop, and I bounced off of that about 5 times. I thought, oh, I'm just going to bang and cut up my leg a bit. And I looked down, and my right shoe was missing, which we still have to this day actually. It's pretty cut up, it's quite fun to look at. And my toe was hanging off, well, the top section of my sock where your toes would sit was gone. So it's pretty much just like a fingerless or a toeless sort of like sock. And the top half of my big toe was just hanging off a thread of the sock.
What, did you go into shock? Like, what was your fucking reaction?
Well, my first reaction was panic. I wouldn't quite say shock, but I'd go more panic. So at this point, the bike was just merely sort of rolling along a couple of miles an hour. So I stopped the bike and threw it down, and crawled underneath the barrier, because obviously we were on a road, just to be. So yeah, I was on a road, so I decided the safe option in my panic would be crawl underneath the barrier. And I ended up waiting for my friends while screaming my head off and crying.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it did hurt.
Yeah, I bet it fucking did.
And then they came down, and sort of like started like calming me down, picked up the top half of my toe off of the road, sort of like stemmed the bleeding. One of my friends stemmed the bleeding with a t-shirt, which was a bit sweaty as we were in the middle of June.
Oh yeah.
So not the most hygienic, but it's what we had at the time. And then obviously an ambulance was called, people panicking, including myself. Ambulance turned up, it pumped me full of about 6 or 7 different drugs. I was high off my bonds, so I calmed down pretty quickly after that. One of my friends had to navigate a cigarette into my mouth to help calm me down even further because I was that high. And then loaded into the back of the ambulance with what was left of my toe and a cardboard bowl with ice around it, off to hospital to wait for 3 hours for them to tell me that it weren't going to be sewn back on.
Even though they took it?
Yeah.
And they didn't even let you keep it, did they?
No, I did ask in the majors sort of unit, major injuries unit, to keep it, but apparently it was a biohazard to keep it.
See, that's bollocks. That loads of people I see advice.
They've started doing it with teeth though now, mate.
What, you can't keep them?
Nah. Like one of my friends, a few months back, had his tooth out and he wasn't allowed to keep it because it was a biohazard.
Like, if I had to get a fucking toe or a finger or something amputated, I'd be like, stick that in some formaldehyde and I'm taking that home, putting it on the shelf.
Yeah, that was my plan. I was either going to have it taxidermied so I could like just drop it in people's drinks or play about with it, or we were going to have like a sort of Viking style burial for it.
That would have been amazing. Put it on a little boat, set it on fire, send it off.
That was one of the plans.
The only problem with that though is the police knocking on your door a couple of weeks later being like, has your son gone missing? Because we've just found his toe.
Yeah, but it hadn't quite burnt properly. Yeah, that would have been funny. And then they removed the well, I had 2 operations to be fair. The first one, they chopped off the remaining bone that was sticking out and cleaned it up a bit, and then what was it, we then had left that for a little while and I was booked in for a second operation, to which they told me that it was they were just going to sort of like maybe take a tiny bit more off and prep me for a skin graft, so I'd just have a little nub. Woke up from that second operation with no toe whatsoever, just the 4 smaller toes left. So now it does look strange, but it's probably a bit more practical than having a little nub.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Yeah, no.
I couldn't imagine going through something like that. I bet you regret not putting your boots on now.
Oh yeah, I do regularly wear my boots on like whenever I get on the bikes now, because I don't want to relive it. I mean, I'd regularly joke that I'd quite like to lose the other big toe so I'm even.
Yeah, at least you don't get to bang it on furniture.
Well, yeah, exactly that.
And you can't wear flip-flops, because
No.
flip-flops, I don't know what it is about them. I could not wear flip-flops, even if with all my toes.
Yeah. I mean, they're not the most appealing or fashionable footwear, but now I'd have to have one foot at an angle just to even try and wear them.
It's fucking weird, that.
I mean, it's the most major bike accident of the 3 that I've had, but so wearing boots is definitely one on my recommended list.
Yeah. Well, you're going for a bike ride. You're on your bike today, isn't it? Even though it's pissing down outside.
Potentially, yeah. We are thinking about going out should the weather decide to cheer up a bit, but it's probably not looking like it at the minute.
So obviously you're a big bike fan. I'd love to get my bike license, but I'm fucking broke at the minute.
Yeah, it does cost a few pennies.
Yeah, and even when I've got money, it ends up going on stupid shit. But that's a different story altogether. What if you could have any bike? Money is no object. What bike would you have?
I'd probably toy with between the BMW S1000RR HP4, their top of the line sports bike, or a Kawasaki Ninja H2.
What would those set you back?
So the H2, you're looking at around 28,000.
It's not fucking bad
for a bike. That's brilliant value for money, because that'll outdo most supercars.
That is fucking mental.
The S1000, because it's Beamer, you're probably looking around the same sort of mark.
The thing
in the 20s.
The thing I've never understood about bikes is the fact that you don't. You can get your is it A1 license or A2 license?
So the license I have, which enables me to ride anything, is your direct access.
So you can go on a direct access, which takes you what, a week, 2 weeks, a week?
If you can manage to squeeze it all into one sort of like sitting and pass your tests on the trot, which I didn't. I passed my module 1, which is like your slow manoeuvres around a car park and all that, and then your mod 2 is out on the road like you would in a normal car. I failed my mod 2 twice, but if you were to be able to do it all in one sitting, no problems, you're on average about 5 days.
That's fucking mental. So you can, after 5 days, providing you pass your test, you can go and get on a bike. Bear in mind, you have to be 18 to do this. 21.
24.
24.
To my knowledge, is the age for doing direct access.
Some fucking nutcase 24-year-old that's got a bit of wedge in his pocket can literally pass his bike test, go out and buy a bike that's what? How many horsepower? 100, 200 horsepower?
So the H2 is just over 200 horses, I believe, because it's Big Brother, the track legal only version. The H2R is 311.
Yeah, see, that bike's going to do what, 200 miles an hour?
The H2R will do 248 in 26 seconds flat. The H2, you're probably looking around, if it's not limited, probably around the sort of 220 mark, I'd probably estimate.
So you could just go out and buy yourself a bike that's going to do 220 miles an hour, which is fucking quick.
And it'll get there quick and all.
Yeah. And not have to do any specific license for that bike.
Just that direct access.
That to me blows my mind, because
the insurance companies will try and dissuade you by giving you
but
a
you've
massive...
got wedge in your pocket.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter, does it?
If you've got like 30-40k, then yeah, you can probably pay the insurance outright and just go.
Like that, you're gonna die on that bike. If you put that in the hands
of a moron,
yeah, you're gonna die. Well, you're gonna die on any bike if you're a moron.
But to be fair, like you say, getting on a bike of that caliber straight off the bat, unless you've had a load of track experience, like not on the road, then yeah, you're probably a mong and you probably will suffer the consequences. I mean, my first bike after passing my test was a 600 Bandit, which is kicking about 70 to 90 horses, and that was quick enough. Like that bike's capable of about 140 odd, and it won't take massively long to get there.
This is probably an unpopular opinion, and I think it comes with bikes and cars.
Yeah,
I think bikes and cars should be restricted to 85 miles an hour.
No, I can understand that, because to be fair, the legal limit is 70 mile an hour.
But
I think
if you're doing 80 miles an hour on a motorway and you're not acting like a dickhead, normally I've overtaken police at 80 mile an hour and they don't do anything, because as long as you're sensible, you're fine. You're pretty much on a straight road most of the time on a motorway. You're not acting like a twat. You're not on your phone. You've got your seatbelt on. Your car's or bike's fully legal. Yeah, let them get away with it. But if you're doing anything over that, that can be fucking well done. I've been over that. Don't get me wrong. I topped a car out at 3 figures. I won't say exactly in case there's any police listening to this. Yeah. But I've topped a car out at 3 figures, and at that point I shit myself and I was like, right, I need to dial this back a little bit, because if you have a blowout or you hit a fucking pothole or anything like that, you're fucked. There's nothing that's going to stop you from dying at that point. Yeah. Do you think people should have to do a separate license, or maybe like a cognitive behavioural test or something like that to be put in?
I don't know how you'd be able to police it, to be honest, or enforce it, because legally you shouldn't be doing those speeds anyway, so they can't really put in a test to train you to speed, so to speak. But I think the reason those cars do those kind of speeds is it's a selling point. Yeah. It is.
You'll never go 200 miles an hour in a Ferrari, but you can if you want to.
Yeah.
Unless you're in Germany.
And then the other one for more so bikes is some people do legally take these bikes onto tracks, and you kind of want to and need to be able to do them speeds.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be going around a track at 85 miles an hour, would you?
No, because I mean, some of those corners can be taken at 120 plus. I mean, you look at Isle of Man TT. Bar from 2 weeks of the year, those roads are limited to the speed limits. But you see those riders doing 170, 180, sometimes up to 200 mile an hour on those roads, and some of those bends they're hitting at the 130, 140 mark.
I've seen some horrendous crashes from the Isle of Man TT.
Yeah.
You seen that one where that guy goes around the corner, comes off and goes over a wall and down that fucking hill.
Yeah, that is a very popular crash footage. That he literally sort of does a cartwheel in the air.
Did he die or was it?
Some people have told me no. Some people have told me yes. I'd have to really look into that because I'm not 100%. But people do die on that race year in, year out. I think I remember. Obviously, they didn't do it this year because of COVID, but I think the year before there was between 2 and 5 deaths
Every year.
On average, yeah.
Because do you have to be a professional rider to go on that, or can you just anyone with
you do have to have experience and sponsors usually, and an actual sort of race team. I mean, no, I'm not saying you have to be like sponsored by Ferrari and that, but a few like sort of low-level sponsors and sort of like a team of some description is usually, I think, is the requirements. Because I think I looked into it myself.
So if you want to do it, just come to us at Proper Chat, and we'll sponsor you to do it.
Because you do have to have so much experience, like have done racing before, blah blah blah. Because at the end of the day, like I say, it is a race that people willingly do every year, knowing that they could die.
Yeah.
Because the speeds that they hit around those tracks and those bends is unreal.
So why do they do it on the Isle of Man? Why do they not just do it ordinary track?
There is history behind it.
If you don't know, don't answer. But if you want,
I don't know 100%, but years back there was a group of riders, I believe, that decided they wanted to sort of like see and start up a race around the track, and it got that popular and was that thrill seeking that it's just carried on for years and years and years. And people dying has not been a deterrent or a cause for them to cancel it, because of how much money, revenue, tourism that it brings in, year out. And to be honest, people are voluntarily doing it knowing that they could die.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like anyone's forcing them or paying them to do it. Like, there probably is a prize fund for winning the race, but they're not having their company or their team tell them, right, you're going to do the TT. You might die, but you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like, they're all volunteers, and it's just kind of the pinnacle of bike racing, to be honest. I mean, obviously, like you say, there are races on tracks year in, year out, like the sort of there's Brands Hatch, there's Silverstone, so on and so forth, but it's a lot harder to get into.
You got to be a professional racer to do that.
You've got to go through and jump through all the hoops, whereas there's a lot less and a lot more people can enter the TT than can just jump on the MotoGP. But I mean, what sort of but then again, the big pros do come to do the TT. I mean, like Rossi and that, they've attempted it. Like there's famous professionals that do it year in, year out, like fucking Michael Dunlop. I'm not sure if he's still alive, I could be wrong, but he was one of them that did it. And there's one that I can't remember the name of, but he's still doing it now, and he's a bit mental, to be honest.
Yeah.
But then you have to be. You
do. I think both my dad and my brother ride bikes. My uncle lost his leg. He had to have his leg amputated after a bike accident.
Yeah.
And I think with my dad, he was like, he never really, he's not like you. You'll ride whatever weather, but he's like a good weather rider.
I am primarily. I have ridden, and at the moment I'm forced to because my car's in the garage, but I will ride in crappier weather if I deem it safe to do so. If the wind's way too high, then I will either not ride or adjust my route. Because I remember one time, not long back, I decided to just go on a random ride, and I ended up Essex way, I went through the tunnel on the way there, but I came through London on the way back because I
That's the
refused
way
to
I
hit the
came
bridge.
here because
Yeah.
the tunnel was.
Yeah, like high bridges and all that are not fun in high wind on a bike.
No, I remember we went. I had a moped, and then I had a 125. I remember going with Bradley when you were on the back of. I think you were on the back of his bike. Was that when we went to Yarmouth?
Oh, Bradley's bike, yes,
Yeah, and that thing was fucking rapid. And I remember you two.
955, I think.
Yeah, you two shot past me because I was on my moped.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. And then the next thing I know, there's police behind me with their blues and twos on, come shooting past me. I'm like, they're going to get fucked. But they went past you, didn't they?
Yeah,
you
they must
pulled
have been
over.
on their way to an RTA or something and not quite actually seen us, or the RTA was that severe that they just ignored.
See, the thing is, I know the police have bikes now and some of the interceptors have high-end cars, but you ain't catching a motorbike going at full speed, are you? Unless you get the chopper out.
But, yeah, to be fair, well, I would say on that one, the biker's got to be able to
Have the balls.
outright have the balls to outrun the ground forces and enough fuel in his tank to outrun the chopper in the sky.
Yeah.
Because they've only got about a 2-hour flight time, I think. I could be wrong. But again, if you're stupid enough to do them speeds and get in those
You're
kind
gonna
of
get caught.
chases.
You got caught, didn't you, doing ton?
Yeah, I got caught at 110 on the A303 once, and I got very lucky to get away with 3 points and a £250 fine.
You're very lucky because
But
you could have lost your licence.
Yeah, by rights, I should have either got 6 points and up to £1,000 fine, or a ban and up to £1,000 fine. But
Yeah, very
I got
lucky.
very lucky.
I know Will, who's been on here a couple of times. I like Will coming on here. All he wants is a t-shirt. He said, as soon as you got some money, just buy me a t-shirt. I'm like, all right, we'll get you. We need to get our logo redesigned. So
Yeah.
I went to print some t-shirts, and the logo's not high enough quality to be able to do it. He got caught. He was on the way. His missus at the time was giving birth to a kid. Not his kid, but a kid, her kid. And he was doing it's like 100, just about.
108, I believe.
Was it? Yeah, and they tried to. He lost his license and he lost his job because of it, but only for I think he only lost it for 6 months. But the copper that pulled him over was a right dickhead. He was like, "Look, I'm on the hot way to the hospital. My missus is giving birth. Like, I need to get." And he's like, "Well, that's no fucking excuse, is
If
it?"
I remember rightly, they goaded him into it because
Yeah, because they were following right up his arse.
they were
weren't
right
they?
up his bum when he was doing maybe around 90. And they run
Undercover.
marks, undercovers, sitting right up his bum, no blues on. So he sped up a little bit to create a bit of gap. They did the same thing. He did it again, and they blued him.
Yeah, so that to me
They
is
were looking to get a
fucking
conviction.
bang out of order.
But that's
Like,
the coppers we
If
deal with.
if I was doing 85, 90 miles an hour, which again's illegal, I understand that, and I've got a car right up my arse that is an undercover that I don't know that is an undercover,
Yeah.
I'm going to speed up if they're right behind me, because I like to know that if I slam my brakes on for any reason, they're going to stop. So I'll speed up, and if they speed up, I speed up
And they know
more.
you're going to do that.
Yeah, it's if I was doing 85, 90 mile an hour and he's right up my arse and he just flashes his lights at me, I then understand I need to slow down, move over, pull over if I need to. But yeah, I don't agree with any of that. Anyway, you need to come over soon.
I will do. I do need to come home soon when the weather gets a bit
Tony,
better. I get
Tony
my car back.
Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Oh,
is
you've got
coming.
it?
No, it's
Oh.
coming out this month. Next month, beginning of next month, which is going to be fucking amazing. Absolutely amazing. Proper nostalgia. The fucking soundtrack for it's amazing. They got like some real big fish and some Goldfinger and some like proper ska bands in there,
Nice.
which is going to be fucking
To
quality.
be fair, the music was always one of the best bits of
Oh, it
those
was.
games.
And the rumour has it, I don't know, but rumour has it that Jack Black's in it.
Oh, really? What, as a
As
skater?
player. No, well,
So
so
the character?
as a character. So I don't know if you remember, there used to be a fat cop that, on a skateboard that used to try and catch you. The rumour is that is now Jack Black, which I think would be fucking amazing. That's going to be so
Be
much
hilarious.
fun tell you another game I've been playing again that you need to come over and play. Fall Guys. Have you seen anything about Fall Guys? So it's massive at the minute. It was one of the PlayStation exclusives. So if you've got PS Plus, you get games for free every month.
Yeah.
And it's a brand new game released for free, which is not Fortnite, but it's like a battle royale game.
Yeah.
Which I never really like battle royale games because I'm normally fairly shit at them, because you get these 12-year-olds that do nothing but play it all fucking day and all fucking night.
That's why I avoided Call of Duty Live for so long.
15-year-old that won $1 million, wasn't it? $1 million playing Fortnite. My parents used to tell me fucking video games won't get you anywhere, and this kid's just won $1 million.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right.
You do have to dedicate your life to it, though.
Yeah. Anyway, this game, it's like an obstacle course, so it's a bit like a Takeshi's Castle sort of thing against 60 other players. And it is the most infuriating and the most fun game I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be fucking... There's different levels, like, where you have to fucking run through, like fucking, what's it called? Like, wind turbines. You have to run through them to get to the end. There's another one where you've got to dodge out the way, that you're on like a thin plank thing and you've got to dodge out the way of these blocks that are moving towards you, and there's memory games and all this other shit. It's just so much fun. You have to play. It's amazing. And we were talking on the PlayStation, me, James and a few other guys, and I was like, I saw this video the other day that pretty much like 100% of the time lets you win one of the final rounds. So the final round is called hexagon, like hexagon, and it's these hexagon blocks that are made up of loads of other little hexagons that when you step on them disappear.
Yeah.
So there's like 8 levels of these blocks, and the last one to fall into the like lava at the bottom wins.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking, apparently every time you do it you win. So what you've got to do is you've got to stand still and drop through all the levels till you get to the bottom one, and while everyone's fucking about on the top levels, you run around and take out the bottom level, so when they're done with the top levels they start falling straight through to the lava. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I'll give it a go next time we get. So he gets to the final and we're watching him, because if you're in a group, even if you die, you can watch your teammates go through. Dropped all the way to the bottom and he'd nearly finished, and this guy dropped right on top of him and run off in a direction that hadn't been done yet, and he fell in, and it was like, sorry, it works 99% of the time. And it was so fucking funny. Anyway, we've got to think about the time, because you're going on a bike ride, so we'll leave it there at nearly an hour. Thank you very much for coming on, Andrew, because it's been fun talking to you, as it always is. Remember to like and subscribe to our pages, Facebook, Instagram, leave us a 5-star, YouTube now, we're on YouTube now, 5-star reviews on Apple, and follow us on Spotify. So thank you very much, and thank you, Andrew, for coming on.